Hi team, are you ready for a huge book haul? For those of you who didn't watch my vlog, a wonderful friend in the comments suggested this used bookstore in Brisbane, and I happened to be visiting Brisbane, so I checked it out and it was just amazing. I have never seen that great a selection at a used bookstore. So I bought 70 books. Yes, I did. And the assistants had to help me to my car, and I had to back my car into the bookshop driveway so we could get the books in. But I wanted to show them all to you quite quickly so that if there were any that took your fancy you wanted to read with me, or any that you love that I needed to get to. First, we'll just go through the books that I've already read. I read a lot of books from the library. So when I see books that I loved that I want to have on my shelves, I pick them up. So I found Seeing Unburied Seeing by Jesmond Ward. Love this book. I found this funky A Suitable Boy edition. I read this so long ago, but yeah, I remember adoring it. I bought The Lucky Galah, which I just read because it's long listed for this year's Miles Franklin Award. I mean, how good's that to be in a used bookstore? I didn't love this book, but it intrigued me. There's something about it. And yes, there is a talking galah. The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin, loved this book. And Terra Nullius by Claire G. Coleman. So that was a good find of all of those, I think. So they go on to my red shelf. Let's start out as well with the find of the haul, which I put on Insta and everywhere I could find as soon as I saw it. This is Britta Bowler's book, The Decision. And when I saw this on the shelves there, I just squealed. I was so excited. This is our very own Britta Bowler's book, and I'll link her channel below. She's a fantastic booktuber. If you're watching my channel, I'm sure you've seen Britta's. So I was so excited to see Britta's book, but then when I actually read what it was about, that excited me even more. This is set in 1936, and there's a German novelist who is in Switzerland, and he has to make a decision about whether or not to publicly denounce the Nazi regime to the Swiss press. And so if he does that, then he chooses exile, and he can not return home. So it's this really intriguing story. I said over 3 days. It just sounds really, really fascinating. So yay, Britta, I get to finally read your book. Super, super, super excited about that. That was definitely the find of the day. Then I found a whole pile of books that are on my want to read list. That's just a list that's just a mind of its own. But when I go used book shopping, I get really excited when I actually find books that are on that list. And there's a stack here that are. I mean, really. Isn't that the most gorgeous cover you've ever seen? This is about a young girl who stops speaking. She discovers human remains on her property. It's about their mother who walks out each day with an empty pram and comes home muddy, and they don't know where she's going. So it's all this kind of family mystery stuff. Yeah, but what intrigues me about this is it talks on the blurb a lot about they live in a rainforest area, and there's mines encroaching onto their land, and talks about rainy seasons and about about the environment intertwined with all of these mysteries that are going on as well. So hopefully there'll be some sort of beautiful environmental twist to just the family mystery. But I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous. I found Swan Song. I wanted to read this. This is like a Truman Capote story. Yeah, this is a Truman Capote story, you know, when he writes the book about all of his friends and gives away all of their secrets. So, yeah, I've read another book about that. I can't even remember what it was called, but, you know, ever since I read In Cold Blood, I'm kind of intrigued by Truman Capote and what his go is. So, and this is a very new book too. When was this published? 2018. I mean, $3. $3. Another B book, Doris. I don't really know what this is about. So this is, I guess, you know, a comment on contemporary society told through the eyes of a bee. I don't know. It's like Flora 717 is a survivor, and she's born in the lowest class of the hive society and then gives everything to her queen, but then she does an act of bravery and stuff goes down. So yeah, I don't really know what it's about. Cool cover though. I got Warlight by Michael Lundaci. Once again, this was published in 2018. I mean, honestly, what a find. It's 1945. London's recovering from the war years. Oh God. Then we've got 14-year-old Nathaniel and his sister Rachel. Their parents left them, and they left them in the care of an enigmatic figure named the Moth. I enjoyed The Cat's Table by Michael Lundaci. I liked his writing. I didn't like that story, but I liked his writing. So, another one. I got The Fragments by Tony Jordan. So yeah, this is about a novelist in 1939. And so when she dies, there's these scorched fragments of a novel, and she had this really successful first novel. So nearly half a century later in Brisbane, there's an exhibition, and this bookseller, what's her name, Caddy Walker, goes to see the exhibition on the fragments of this book, and then she meets someone in the line and a mystery ensues. Anyway, an Australian book I've wanted to read, published in 2018. So good. I didn't have Beartown. Now I have Beartown. Hardcover, Unsheltered by Barbara Kingsolver. I have just, oh my gosh, look at the end pages. I didn't even notice that. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, everyone loves this book, don't they? Does anyone want to read this with me? Oh, can't wait. Can't wait to get to it. I don't know what's about it. I don't care. I don't care what it's about. It's by Barbara Kingsolver and it's gorgeous. We don't need to know anymore. Then we have Boy Snowbird, another cover. I mean, check it out. This is a bit of an interesting premise. So in 1953, Boy, who is actually a girl, moves to Massachusetts and marries a widower, and then becomes stepmother to his daughter Snow. But when Boy has her own daughter Bird, Boy Snowbird, and when that daughter Bird is dark-skinned, which exposes the Whitmans as light-skinned African Americans passing for white, and all of this obsession starts to play out between Boy and her daughter, and her alienation of her stepdaughter, and yeah, sounds really intriguing. It sounds like one that I would need to take notes for, because even reading that I'm like, I don't know why she would have called the main woman character Boy. There's got to be a reason for that. Anyway, and then I found The Lake by Banana Yoshimoto. This is about a woman who moves to Tokyo after her mother dies and becomes this graphic artist and tries to deal with her grief, but she just stares out the window, and then she notices that there's this other boy that stares out the window too, and then they have this interesting romance. But it says quirky characters, so that always makes romances far more interesting. Peter Carey, A Long Way From Home. This is longlisted for the Walter Scott Prize this year. I started to read it and then it had to go back to the library, and there were a bazillion reserves on it, so when I found it I snapped it up. Yeah, this has something to do with this car race that travels through the outback of Australia. It's set in the 1950s, but it is along the line of how European culture settled this country and took over an amazing culture. So that's kind of woven into the story of this outback car race. I don't know how that will work, but I enjoyed the start of it when I read it. I was bummed to have to take it back to the library. This is The Mothers by Britt Bennett. This is, Nadia's in high school and her mother's just committed suicide, and she hangs out with the local pastor's son Luke, but from that relationship something happens that they need to cover up. There's a secret there, and then she hides that secret, and I guess it's the fallout from that. I'm interested in the cover more than the story, if truth be told, but it could surprise me. It must have come recommended by somebody because it's on the list. Oh, and then I got 2 copies of Pachinko. Yeah, I didn't realize I picked up the other one because I was there for so long. I mean, obviously this is the prettiest one, But yes, I will finally have it on my shelves and I will finally get to read it. I cannot wait. So excited about this. And then the last one is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This is set in Georgia and slaves on a cotton plantation, so not too nice. But Cora hears about this underground railroad that takes you from the south to the north, and it's Cora's journey trying to escape from being a slave. Anyway, sounds really cool. So now we move on to my Aussie find. Here are all my Elizabeth Jolies. I read one book, one tiny novella about her life, dealing with a plot that they bought in her gardening world and stuff like that. And then I decided that I needed to read everything she ever wrote. So I've got The Newspaper of Claremont Street. I've got The Well. I've got Cabin Fever. The Sugar Mother. That sounds interesting. It's about a man who has an affair. Foxy Baby. There's a lot of things on in the blurbs of these books that say hilarious. So whether Elizabeth Jolie writes with some wit, that would be nice. And then The George's Wife. So lots of wives, isn't there? My Elizabeth Jolie collection. Let's hope that wasn't just a fluke and that her writing is actually good, because I've got a lot to read now. Okay, these are the Australian ones. This is Rainbirds by Harriet McKnight. Cover, I mean, gorgeous. Oh no, it's about Alzheimer's. Damn. Yeah, it's a husband and wife and how they deal with that. But another storyline is a conservation biologist, Ariana, is trying to reintroduce the threatened glossy black cockatoos into the wild of this national park. And then the two women, the wife of this man and this biologist, their paths cross. I mean, black cockatoos are just the most gorgeous birds. Look them up, look up a picture, they're just amazing. They have this amazing squawk too that flies by. And they say when you hear the black cockatoo squawk, it's gonna rain. I don't know if that's true or not, but anyway, that looks cool. This is Ashburner, The Ashburner by Kari Gislason. This author is from Iceland, then moved to England, and then moved to Australia. But that was when he was 14, I think, or something like that. So I think we claim him. Yeah, this is a book about Ted loses his mother, and then his father brings him, I guess, to Australia to try and start anew, and then he meets Anthony and Claire at Sydney University, and then this friendship evolves, and I guess this discovery of self, so we'll see. This is The Life of Houses. Quite honestly, I don't know much about this, but it was blurbed by Helen Garner. Yeah, imagine getting a book blurbed by Helen Garner. And then says, this is a novel about mothers and daughters and coming of age. It's also about property and how people's feelings for the places that they inhabit can shape their lives. Sounds like really interesting musings. So, yep, into that. Oh, I bought this for the cover again. This is a Richard Flanagan book. I haven't read any, but he's a very well celebrated Australian author. This is Gould's Book of Fish, a novel in 12 fish. That sounds cool, doesn't it? I mean, look. Oh, how gorgeous. Oh, wow. 1828, before all the fishes in the sea and all the living things on the land were destroyed. Totally. William Gould, a white convict, fell in love with a black woman and discovered too late that love is not safe. And then it says he was ordered to paint a book of fish. Look. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, how lovely. What a great find. Only Killers and Thieves by Paul Howarth. Don't know. It's blurred by John Boyne on the back, and I love John Boyne's work. Anyway, this is, yeah, an Australian book, and it's about Tommy and Billy who get home and their parents have been killed out in the outback. This is in 1885. And then they rally this posse of men with this wealthy landowner leaving it, and there's this inspector and his Queensland Native Police, which is this arm of police whose sole purpose is the dispersal of Indigenous Australians in protection of settlers' rights and the retribution that follows. It sounds like it's going to be a bit confronting, but still good to read. This is The Tree in Changing Light. I mean, how gorgeous. And it says this meditates on our unique landscape and its rich tapestry of native and introduced trees which give language to our existence. Right now I'm reading Bark Skins, which is kind of making me feel that too. So yeah, this is just a little one. This will be really interesting to get into. The next is The Submerged Cathedral by Charlotte Wood. I don't know, this is spanning many years going across Australia and around the world. It's about sisterly love and sacrifice and journeys, and I don't know, sounds like a bit of an epic story. We will see. It's a nice cover again too, isn't it? I bought this one because when I went there I was reading Gail Jones' The Death of Noah Glass, which I didn't end up liking very much, and I thought, oh, I'll just get this Gail Jones because, you know, if I end up liking Noah Glass then I'll have another one to back it up with, but I didn't like it very much. It's got the Sydney Opera House on it, so maybe there's hope. I got Mullumbimby by Melissa Lukashenko. This is one of her first novels. She just wrote Too Much Lip, which I read and enjoyed, and it's been getting a lot of press. So lots of people say that this one is better than Too Much Lip, so that will be welcome, and I just want to give her another go. And then my find, another amazing find. Oh my God. This is the Helen Garner collections that Text Publishing did up. This is her stories and her true stories. This one's a lot bigger than that one. But I just could not believe it when I saw this pair in the store. $3 each, people. I mean, what a find. Yeah, so this is just a collection of her short fiction, and then this is a collection of her short non-fiction. So, oh my gosh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And then a little book from across the ditch. This is Wolf by Hamish Clayton. Gorgeous cover again. Yeah, we're in early 19th century New Zealand. There's this great chief and he's conquered this island, and then there's brutal attacks, and then of course English traders come along, and yeah, I think we all know what goes down in that, but it's narrated by two English sailors on board Stuart's ship, so the English trader that comes along. That'll be an interesting book to read by a New Zealand author. So there you go. Oh, phew. We've got 3 piles to go. Now let's get on to my classics. I love these Oxford World Classics with the red lines on top. They're my favourite. So I picked all of these up. There were more there, but I just like the ones that I'm interested in, really. I got North and South in this collection, so I'm reading it now as a Penguin Classic, but $3. I got this, Anne Radcliffe, A Sicilian Romance. This is from 1790. This explores the cavernous landscapes and labyrinth passages of Sicily's castle and the shameful secrets of the powerful aristocracy. That sounded interesting. I got 2 Mary Elizabeth Braddon, who I've never heard of before, but I got these covers. They looked so hilarious. Doesn't she look worn out, that poor woman? This is published in 1864. It's about Isabel Gilbert, who's trapped in a marriage to a man incapable of understanding her imaginative life. She wants to just be creative. That's why she's so worn out. Oh gosh, she has an affair. Oh no, Isabel. Anyway, and the other Mary Elizabeth Braddon I got was Aurora Floyd, with this horse on the cover and the cute puppy in the background. Aurora is threatened with exposure by a blackmailer. Ooh, what's she done? We will see. Then I got a Thomas Hardy, Wessex Tales. I try and collect every Thomas Hardy ever. It would be wonderful to have them all in this edition, so love Thomas Hardy. So that's my stash from there. And then the Penguin Classics I got an Anthony Trollope, The Warden. I just loved the cover. That man sitting there eating his egg, his dippy egg. I got Emma because I don't have Emma. I got Grant Allen, an African millionaire. Charles von Drift is wealthy and confident and handsome and not accustomed to being swindled. So when that happens by Colonel Clay, it rattles him. But this book is widely regarded as the first to feature a criminal protagonist. Literature's first gentleman rogue. Sounds interesting. This is 1896. There you go. And this had a bubba on the front. D.H. Lawrence, The Rainbow. Oh gosh, it's got stuff on it. This was published in 1915 and revolves around 3 generations living in Midlands of England. So, a family saga. So they're the Penguin classics. Oh, and then I got this. What are these called? Penguin English Library. I think I have only one other one of these ones, but yeah, another Anthony Trollope. Isn't it gorgeous? And I got a couple of these text classics. I don't generally like the look of these, but I liked these stories, so I picked them up. Yeah, so these are Australian classics, right? So I don't know when this was first published. First published in 1957. Diana goes to Melbourne to have a tooth fixed. She goes to get her tooth fixed, but she meets up with an old friend. Oh, you devil, Diana. This is the 3rd novel in a series, and I have the other 2, I think. Well, I haven't really looked into that, but I think I do. This is the Langton Quartet. So yeah, maybe I should start with the first one, but I just loved her hair. Check it out. I've got to go faster, don't they? This is Glenda Adams, Dancing on Coral. What's this about? Oh, she needs to get out of Sydney in the 1960s, so she follows Tom to New York on a big ship. Oh, of course he's not going to be all that he seems. Anyway, and then I got this. It's got legs on the cover. I don't know. What is this called? Long Leg by Glenda Adams. Oh, this mother abandons her son in a boarding house in Manly. And then he creates this imaginary friend called Longleg. And then he goes in search of his mother. Oh, that could be a full-on one for me. Why is this in the classics file? Oh, this is something to do with Jane Eyre. That's right. This is a story from the Madwoman in the Attic's point of view. Yep, set in the Caribbean. Yeah. Sounded like a fun twist. I've not read Jane Eyre yet. I should have read it last month, but I didn't get around to it. So anyway, they're the classics. And then we've got the pile of books that just interested me, that I know the author or yada yada. Let's just go through them. This is getting too long, isn't it? A George Simenon. Shan from Shani Reads and Bert, they have said a number of times that they like this author as a little fun mystery read. I think Bert's a bit of a fan, so I haven't ever read anything by George Simenon, so that'll be fun. This is a book translated from the French. This author, it says, is blurbed as Morocco's greatest living author. So Mohammed, oh that's right, I read this and liked it. Mohammed's been working in France. He spent the last 40 years there. And then when he approaches retirement, he decides he wants to move back to Morocco. So he builds this really big house in this village and just waits for his children and his grandchildren to come and be with him. But I don't think that happens in a hurry. So yeah, it sounds like an interesting little read. Oh, I got this because I read, is it Tin Man? What else did she write? Yes. Yeah, so I saw the author and then liked the book cover and we just went from there, really. This is about a brother and a sister and family and friendships and love. It's cute, hey? This is Come to the Edge by Joanna Kavanagh. And this is about a woman who puts an ad in the wanted ads about wanting a companion. She lives on a farm. But I think the woman ends up being a little bit nutty, or maybe the people that come are a bit nutty, and maybe they go create this crazy scheme. She didn't mean to become a revolutionary. I don't know. Cool cover though, huh? Jhumpa Lahiri. Can't wait to read this. What is it about? I didn't even look. I did not even look. I saw her name and I picked it up. Suburban Streets of Calcutta, even better. Right, so this is about brothers who are just living in a really full-on time in history. I guess it's in the 60s because we've got the Vietnam War going on, riots sweeping across India. It's about two brothers going two different ways, I think. Oh, wow. Oh, can't wait to get to this. I liked this cover. I don't know, who's this? David Vogel, Married Life. First published in 1929. Well, that could have been in my classics pile. Set in Vienna, the novel tells of the relationship between the penniless writer Rudolph and the Baroness, who treats her husband with cruelty and disdain. Oh, there's a love triangle. It says the word love triangle in Vienna in the 1920s. That's why I love this book. There's many different reasons I pick up book, but anytime it says India on the back, this says Calcutta 1967. That's all I need to know. The lives of others. Oh gosh. Unnoticed by his family, Supratik becomes dangerously involved in extremist political activism. Wow. I guess that's the story of how that unfolds within a family in Calcutta in the 1960s. Bliss. It's a Jesmond Ward. Don't know. Didn't look at anything else. It's a Jesmond Ward. What is this book about? Where the Line Bleeds. Set in Mississippi. Twins graduate from high school. And then I guess it's the story of, oh no. One becomes a dock labourer and the other becomes a drug dealer. And their long missing addict father reappears. Oh no, that's going to be sad, isn't it? Okay. I love Jesmond Ward's writing, so. Speaking of which, Barbara Kingsolver, Flight Behaviour. Don't know what it's about. I have no idea. It talks about climate change. Win-win. Fabulous. This is completely a cover buy, and I think I even read the blurb of this and thought, I don't think I'll really like that. There's an admission. God. Oh, Kendra, it's an Appalachian book. It's set in Appalachia. In Coal Town, deep in Appalachia. This is, I liked the cover. It's a journey through Ireland, but it says never pass a bar that has your name on it. It says the 8th rule of travel. So, I don't know, could be fun. Got the Golden Lotus, and I'm a bit confused about really what it is. It's like, there's a sticker over the back, but it says something like the 5th greatest work in all of Chinese literature. I don't really know much about it. It was denigrated as a dirty book because of its sexual frankness, so that's always fun. And it centers on this merchant and his marriage to a 5th wife, whose name is Golden Lotus. She uses sex as her main weapon to try and get control over this man. I don't know, that sounded really intriguing to me. Anybody read it? This looked super interesting. This is The Nun. It's translated from the Italian, I think. Yeah, by Anthony Sugar. So this is set in 1839, and this daughter falls in love with this wealthy guy, but her mother is determined that they won't marry. So they ship her off to Naples. But something happens there, and she's rebuffed by the king, and so she's forced to join a convent. And I guess it's the story of that whole process and what happens to her when she is in that convent. I mean, it just sounds really intriguing. Gorgeous cover too. I caved. The Good Earth, Prospectus. Has anybody read it? Is it worth it? I mean, obviously lots of people would have read it. Is it worth it? I see this around all the time, but I caved. I was out of control. Look at this gorgeous cover. This is set in the 1860s, and there's an epidemic that threatens to destroy the silk trade in France, and this young merchant leaves his home and travels to Japan to try and get some eggs for a fresh breeding of silkworms. So then there's concubines involved, and it's all about his travels in Japan during that time. Sounds so cool. I got The Last King of Scotland. Have I seen the movie? I just don't know. This is about a young Scottish doctor who works in Uganda as Idi Amin's personal physician, and about how he deals with this crazy dictator guy, I guess. I don't know. Anybody read it? Oh, look at this book. 100 Days by Joseph Roth. Oh, just looks gorgeous to me. So this is the 100 Days. So Joseph Roth imagines Emperor Napoleon's last grab at glory. So the 100 days spanning his escape from Elba to his final defeat at Waterloo. How cool does that sound? Yeah, I was pumped when I saw this book. Oh, it's just so lovely. And here we are, the last one. Oh, we did it, people. We did it. What the hell is this book about? This is The Moor's Account. By who? Layla Lalami? This imagined memoir of the first black explorer of America, a Moroccan slave whose testimony was left out of the official record. So this is in 1527. So I think this is about like a real expedition of this conquistador, what is his name? Oh, Narvaez, that sails with 600 men to claim what is now the Gulf Coast of the US for the Spanish crown. But once he lands, like just all of this stuff goes down: disease, starvation, indigenous tribes. And within a year, there's only 4 survivors. And this Moroccan slave is one of those survivors. And then they go on a journey across America. And this is told from this Moroccan slave's point of view. I mean, that sounds so cool, doesn't it? Yeah, wow. That's a gem. Oh my goodness. So that's it. Here they all are. I mean, what a day. What a book haul. Now I've got to fit them all on my shelves, but that brought me such joy, and I can't wait to read them. Please, please, please let me know if you would like to read any of these with me, and we'll schedule them in. I can't wait to pick them all up. So reading them with somebody else will just make that experience even more fun. This is the last book haul for a while. I need to calm down a bit. My shelves are full. I could just build some more. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. No, I'm really excited. I had such a great time, and thank you for enjoying this with me. Okay, let me know if you want to read any with me. Bye.